Can you see how this chocolates did I just do that? You see how the skin is looking flawless. Let's not add question mark. We could put full stop, okay?
If the earth still obeys, and if the ocean sings your praise, yeah, and if the wind goes where you send, yeah.
Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking to watch this video. It is a makeup tutorial, as you can tell from the title. I actually have somewhere to be in the next 2 hours, meaning I need to be done with my makeup in 90 minutes so I can get dressed and skedaddle. Let's see how it goes, because I'm trying to make this as detailed as possible, and I'm trying also not to take up too much of my own time. So let's get into it, shall we? I have most of my makeup in this little ziploc. First off is lip balm, even though I'm already wearing lip gloss. My setting spray. I use this to mist my face before going in with my snail mucin, which is almost finished. I don't even know if you can see anything inside, but it's still remaining sharp. I do skincare before makeup to help the makeup sit better. I'm about to use a very mattifying face primer. So I'm trying to moisturize my skin so that it's not locking in dryness, it's actually locking in moisture. Next up, I'll be using this eye cream. It's from a K-beauty brand. I actually don't know which it is, so I can't even tell you the name. I don't want my under eye to crease when I do makeup. Moisture is the key. Next up is the Blossom Makeup Lock That Sweat. It's an oil control sweat block, and it really does lock that sweat. You see the little I put, it's actually now spreading, so I will use that on the parts of my skin that usually get oily, like my nose, my forehead, and my chin. The first time I tried it on, I put it all over my face, and that was not a very wise idea. You see why I started off with my skincare, because my skin is still glowy, dewy, all of that stuff, even though I have used this primer. I like to take a thin layer of my powder, and this is a palette from Blossom Makeup. As you can see, I'm going through a sort of phase. This is from Blossom Makeup, this is from Blossom Makeup. I'm taking my powder shade and I am dusting it ever so lightly. Can you see the difference on this side from this side? It's not so much that it is like, oh, she has makeup on, but it is evening out my skin tone. I do this so that I need less foundation as I go along, because this has already given me a layer of coverage. Okay, so I do makeup in two ways. I either start with my skin work or I start with my brows. I'll start off with my brows because they take the least amount of time. I'm using this Zaran concealer. It's AZ10 medium. It's a bit crusty, don't judge me. And this Zickel is another brand I really like. This is their Pro Matte Foundation in the shade Dark Pearl, and it's number 8. I'm also going to take a bit of my foundation. You can see this concealer is quite light. This is a Flawless Ivy foundation in the shade Caramel. I will mix the Flawless Ivy foundation with the Zaran concealer to make a darker shade, and that's what I'll use for the tail of my brows. I forgot, you should actually arrange your brows so that the hair does not get in the way of the concealer. It looks pretty light, but that's not a problem because I can tone down the color. Taking the rest of my foundation, I'll do the front of my brows so it'll be the same shade as my skin. Pick up a fluffy brush, dab it in your foundation, and then blend downwards. So I pat back and forth, and what this does is that it helps to diffuse the color. On a normal day, I would just use my foundation shade for the whole of the brow cleanup, or I wouldn't even do this, but I'm trying to look a bit fancy today. I was talking about the two different ways I do makeup, and I'm doing it the way that I've been doing it since 16, 17, when I was in my makeup era, and that is by doing my skin work first before doing my foundation. And I do that because by the time you're done, if you're rushing out, you can go out, like if I clean up the top of my brows, I can go out like this because I've worn a layer of powder, and then I can just throw on some blush in the car and be on my way. But if you start with your foundation, there's not going to be any depth to your face, and you'll just be looking ashy if you don't blend it well, or if you're not quick enough to finish up before you're heading where you're going. I usually don't like putting question mark where God has put full stop, so I don't do the top of my brows. I'm feeling a bit courageous, so I will attempt to do the top of my brows. How I do that is I place the foundation as far away from the brows as humanly possible, and then when I was doing the bottom, the angle brush, I'm using an angle brush. I don't always use an angle brush. Sometimes I use a flat brush, but today I chose piece. And when you're doing the bottom, the angle brush is in the direction of your tailbone so that it sculpts your tailbone. When you're doing the top, you flip it over, and the easiest way to do it is just hold the brush and trace downwards, and that's it. That's literally it. I use whatever foundation is on this brush to cover up any dark circles, dark spots, acne scars, of which I have a few. When you're doing your makeup, the closer you hold your brush to the bristles, the more control you have over the brush. It's like writing with a pen. When you hold your pen here, the force that you're exerting on the paper through the pen is more. So if I was holding it there and doing this versus holding it here, you can see like even the motions that I'm making, they're not the same. This would give very harsh results, while this would give fluffy and airbrushed results. I am taking the same brush into my powder shade, which is Caramel. Oh my gosh. This is Caramel and this is Caramel. Interesting, and they're not the same brand. I'm setting the base that I just applied the concealer, and I'm doing this so that it doesn't move throughout the day. Now I'm wearing a v-neck so that I can see my neck. My face is darker than my neck and it's also darker than my chest, so I need a point of reference. I advise you to do that. If you're trying to match your foundation and you are a little sunburned or you have hyperpigmentation, then I recommend matching it to your neck if you're going to wear something that shows your neck. But if you're not, then you can go with whatever complexion works for you at the time. At this juncture, I contour my face. Now I'm going to start off with my nose, and I'm using this Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's a two-way brush and I can't remember what number it is, but it's a dense brush and that's really all I need. So when I'm contouring my nose, I start off on the bridge and I just make two parallel lines. And I actually just follow the shape of my nose. I'm going to take it all the way to the crease of my eye, and this will act as my eyeshadow in case I end up not doing eyeshadow. I'm going to just leave this there for a minute to set while I do the rest of my face. I'm going to switch the brush over to the other side. If you're contouring your face, you should contour it based on the shape of your face. Me, I have a very wide forehead, as you can see. And I use my hairline as a sort of map. Now, my face is, I don't know if my face is wide or if it's heart shaped or oval, because I don't know. I'm trying to create length in my face, so I'm going to contour very high up. Looking at me now, this is the point that you're seeing. But on this side of my face, you're seeing all of my cheeks. But because this contour is here, now when the light falls on my face, you're actually only just seeing the contour. That is the trick for if you're trying to elongate your face. Now, I learned something from Kim Kardashian. Back when she was in her makeup bag, she would contour her face shapes like number 3. So she would start from here, do that, bring it down. So she didn't used to bring it down to her actual jawline because she was trying to create a different jawline for herself. And you have to try and make sure that the two sides of your face, you're doing the same thing. If not, one side will have more depth than the other. And I also learned this thing where if you make another line and join it to the top line, it kind of creates a sort of chiseled look. It all comes together when you do your concealer. So let's hope for the best. If not, you just blend it out and life goes on. So basically, you contour everywhere you want shadows to fall and you highlight everywhere you want lights to fall. Going back with this fluffy brush that I used earlier, as you can see, it's blending out very nicely. Blending upwards and outwards in the very same place, and I'm trying my very best not to move the product around, because if you move it around, your whole face will just start looking muddy. This is why I also like to do my contouring and concealing first, so that if I make a mistake, I can undo it with foundation. But imagine if you make your contour too dark and you've done your foundation work, then you're stuck with either the makeup like that or figuring out how to reduce the mistake you made while not adding too many more layers to your face. Now it's time to blend out my nose contour. I'm taking the brush I used to place it earlier, wiping off the excess product on it so that it does not add more as we're trying to diffuse the color. If you're using a really fluffy brush, you can blend and pat or rub. If you're using your fingers, then patting is just fine. And then I'm taking it back over my eye and sort of creating a wing. You can see that I created a little ball on my nose. If you have a really long nose and you're trying to shorten the length, by creating that ball, the light will only hit here and the little boop on your nose. Now for my concealer, for my under eyes, I still have a little bit left of lighter concealer from Zara I used. So I'm going to take my foundation and place it right on top, mix it together, then go back in with the brush I used for my brows because it will still have a bit of product on it. And what I do is I place it really close to my nose contour. Now, because again, I'm trying to have a lifted appearance, I'm going to lift my concealer up like that. This side of my face looks higher and this side looks wider. If you notice, I left space in the middle, and that's just so that by the time I'm blending and I put the product there, it doesn't cause there to be so much product underneath my eyes that it starts creasing throughout the day. If you have really dark circles or you don't have a really full coverage foundation, you can color correct underneath your eyes, placing some here. I don't want to place anything here because I sweat a lot on my upper lip, but I know I'm going to sweat today. If I'm sweating, I can dab there and not have any, product come off and have just random blotches of skin showing through. I know I'm talking a lot, but you see that powder we put earlier? If your foundation runs for some reason or you're sweating and you have to dab at it, that also helps to prevent your product from totally lifting. Okay, yes, this brush that I used to clean up my brows and everything, pushing it in. I'm not spreading it yet, I'm just pressing it in at this point. I've taken it all the way up. I'll go over my contour again, but yeah, just place that there. What you can do as well is take a brush and then raise up the skin there so that you can get the skin right underneath there. And of course, I will do the same for this side. If at any point your product dries down too much, I recommend letting it dry down a bit because it gives it more coverage and then you end up using less product. But if it dries down too much, then you can just revitalize it with your setting spray like I did earlier when I was blending my contour. So blend from the outside in, and it helps to create a seamless blend between your contour and your highlight. So this side, I blended from the inside out and you can see the harsh line. But here, I started blending from the outside in and the difference is clear. You know the face people make when they do makeup is necessary because you need to get all of these corners. And I'll raise this up, go underneath. You do the same when you're applying powder, by the way. Then, because I know on Instagram and when you're doing your makeup, you must have seen people also put concealer here and here, and you can actually do that, but I just choose not to because I'm going to apply foundation to that area. So why apply concealer then also apply foundation? It's just more layers that I think are a bit redundant. Now my complexion is starting to match my neck. Now this is my favorite part of makeup, and it is applying blush. For my blush, I typically use this palette. It's a Spice Your Love palette. It's very old, as you can see from the cover, and it has, I think, 12 colors. I use them for anything from eyeshadow to graphic liner to highlighting to lipstick, which is actually what it's meant for. And I do that by either mixing it with a powder if I want it to be a bit more matte, or mixing it with my foundation if I'm trying to make it a bit more nudish. So, piece of advice I will give you to make choosing a blush shade easier, because I found that a lot of women don't like using blush because it's like, oh, I don't know what shade works best for me. Just match your blush to your lipstick. So if I'm wearing this pink lipstick here, now we'll use this color as my blush, or I'll come here and look for a color that is very similar and use it as my blush. So what that does is that it creates unison in your skin work. And this thing is very pigmented. You see this dot, watch and see what's going to come of it. Then I'll take this light pink as well and mix them together. So it's created a cute Barbie-ish looking pink, and if I find that it's too red or anything, I'll just take a dot of my foundation and blend it in. So what this has done is it has made it a bit more skin-like. And this is a tip for if you're going about your daily activities and you're like me that wears blush everywhere. You can always just mix it with your foundations. And I'm tapping it in and then blending it out. I start off with a little blush to see what it's looking like, and if I like the shade, then I'll go on and really reinforce the color. But if I don't like it, or I think I need to switch it up a little, then I can do that. I'm actually feeling this color, but I want a bit of orange. I will take this orange shade and place it where the other blush was, and then add my foundation to it again, so I don't go out there looking like Bobo the Clown. But again, because I have not worn foundation, if at any point I start looking clownish, I can just cover it up with foundation. This is the one. Come on, this is it. Black girls, don't shy away from orange blush. So I'm going to take whatever is left on my hand. Look at this cute orange and pink combo I just made. So I'll take a fluffy brush, take this color onto the outer crease of my eye. This is a make-do brush. This is actually the, what's it called for this one, but I added this one on the other side because I was tired of seeing it just randomly around. And at this point, I'm not really concerning myself with blending. I'm packing on the product. When I'm done, I will start blending everything out. Don't forget your ears if your ears are going to show. If you make any mistakes, don't worry, you're just going to go right with whatever product was there before. So I've done the best that I can with this brush now, and I will go in with my beauty blender, and this is from Yanga Beauty. It has a lot of different shapes, as you can see. This part is for just general blending. This part helps you to sculpt or reach areas underneath your eyes that would be otherwise difficult to reach. And I didn't make it wet because I do not want to introduce any liquid into my makeup routine at this particular point. I washed it last night and air dried it, so it still has a bit of moisture. I'm already wearing lashes, so unfortunately I can't teach you how I apply false lashes, but I'm using mascara on my lower lashes. I'm doing that so that the top one doesn't look so long and then the bottom one looks non-existent. If you can't do what I just did without making a mistake on your skin work, you can put a card there. Now eyeliner is very hit or miss, so I typically don't like to put question mark where the Lord has put full stop, like in this my makeup right now. So the advice I'll give you is that when you're doing your eyeliner, don't look down, look straight, because that's how your eyeliner is going to look when your eyes are open. And this eyeliner is a bit dry, so it's not going to be as seamless as it needs to be, but I mean, you can see. I have a whole wing without the rest of the eyeliner. I'll just make a little whatever in front as well, so it looks like the whole thing is there. Do the same thing on the other side, look straight, and yeah, fill in the little gaps. What you can also do is use tape. If you know that you don't trust yourself enough, do what I just did. I wanted to show you in one eye what it would look like if I did the whole wing. I'll show you why I never do the whole wing, because now it just looks so huge. Most times your wings are not going to be twins, they're just going to be like distant relatives. But I mean, there's always a way to clean it up, and I typically like cleaning it up with my foundation shade. Some people use a concealer that's a bit lighter. I don't like doing that because that just gives me more homework to do. Using micellar water is it better? The thing about micellar water is that it also cleans off your other makeup, so if you're not trying to have that happen, then just use concealer. I'm going to bake, but not actually bake. I'm just going to use my powder and press it underneath my eyes. I finally got one of these and I'm so excited. They are who they think they are, to be honest. And I'm using my powder sheet, as I said, pressing it right underneath my eyes. It's really nice. You can use this to apply your foundation as well, but it soaks up a lot of product, and I think in the long run it will make it a bit more difficult to clean because the product will have really entered into the thing and you don't know how to get it out. So when you're done with one side, tip you can flip over to the other side and have a whole clean powder puff. This Blossom palette was actually quite affordable. Now for my lips, I already applied lip balm at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to wipe that off because it was just meant to moisturize my lips. I don't have any of my lip liners here, but that's fine because of the product I'm about to use. And that is, ta-da! This is my signature lip combo. And you can actually achieve this in a couple of different ways, but because I'm not with lip liners and I do not want to stand up again to get them, I'm going to show you how I achieve it with just the products I have at hand. These lip glosses are quite full coverage because look at how dark my lips are. Look at what one coat does. It covers it quite significantly. It saves you stress in terms of using a lip pencil or a lip crayon and then having to use clear lip gloss over it. To align my lips, I'll be using Earth, which is the darkest shade in the collection. I use the inner part like this to line. So if you're doing the top part, you would turn it over where the doll foot is facing your lips. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just, and then it's done. Then you can correct it if there be any need to. I'm trying to add a bit more coverage to my lips so I don't have to keep reapplying my lip gloss. So I'll be using this Zaron lipstick pen in the shade Mist. So it's the number 3. And this is what I use day to day to achieve my nude lipstick combo. So as you can see, it has totally covered the dark parts of my lips. Then you apply lip gloss and you're done. So this is one way to go about it. Another way to go about it is use the brown lip liner. Then you take the next shade from the darkest one, and this is Njideka. I don't know why I said it like that. What I'm going to do with Njideka as well is use it on my lid. I applied the darkest shade in my outer corner. Then now I'll apply Njideka to the middle of my eyes. And it's not as sticky as you would imagine. It's not like that absolute lip gloss that you can use as edge control. I'll use that right in between the lip liner and the lip pen. Smack it together. All of these things I'm doing is in a bid to blend the colors seamlessly because I don't want to be able to tell where one color ends and another one begins. I have made it 2 lights, and while this works for like bridesmaid duties, today's nobody's sweating, that I know. So I will go back in with Earth, just a little. I'm going to use the back of my spoolie because I don't want to dirty a whole other brush. This is my favorite color and it's blonde. I don't like that they didn't put the E at the end. It's stressing me out so much. So I'll use this lip pencil again. Now, this lip pencil and this blonde are the actual same shade, but this is Zaron and this is Eagle. Whatever brand you have at your disposal is fine. And I'm using it over that. Remember this brush, we use it to contour. Going into this palette to the darkest shade, we're setting our contour the same way we set our highlights. On the other side. Then I'll do it on my nose as well. I typically would like to use a lighter shade, maybe this one or this one, but I mean, whatever, it's fine. As you can see, I clearly don't take my own rules of makeup very seriously. Then I'll go over it again with that beauty blender that has the light shades so that there are no harsh lines. The only part of my skin on my face that I will use a really light shade for is the bridge of my nose. And first of all, I will use my Milani Prep Set and Go powder. So I'll use this, but the side of it is already pretty slim. And I think that's a good enough width for my nose. Oh, it's slanted. Make sure your lines are straight. If not, you'll be going around with this slanted nose all day. So you see how even before I put this on, the ring light was already hitting there because I had contoured the other parts. Set your smile lines. Now that I've put that light shade, I'll come back into my powder shade, this really light shade, and then back to my powder shade again. Dust it off on my hand a little bit, and then place it on top of the light shade that I used. Oh, can you see how this chocolates? Did I just do that? Yo, this makeup is so all over the place today. So what you can do for your blush, as I said earlier, you can take this clear one or even your powder shade and press into the blush to create a powder blush, right? Or you can use an eyeshadow or an actual powder blush. This is a bronzer, but then I can get away with using it as blush. This is from House of Tara. It is an eyeshadow pot. The pigmentation on this thing, if I'm feeling daring, I would use this as my blush, but today is not that day because I don't want to deal with the consequences. I'll go into this bronzing powder. Again, I'll apply it in the same place and then I'll blend it into my contour that I placed and stopped here. So you can see that this place is brown and this place is pink. Oh my gosh, this is Blossom makeup as well. I didn't even realize. Oh wow, so I have 3 of their things now. I got this palette a while ago and it's amazing, but a couple of colors broke inside, so I can't really lift it up. I don't like to highlight my face because I don't like problem. You see how the skin is looking flawless. Let's not add question mark where God has put full stop, okay? But let's take risks. I really just contradicted myself in 2 seconds. I'm taking a really bronzy shade and I'll apply it on the bridge of my nose. You see that dots? That's all. This is the reason why I should just set my face and be going. But no, I've come to start touching what does not concern me. Using my pinky to blend that out, man. Now you see what's left here. That's what I will cautiously apply. Because this could go wrong very easily. Let's just see how it goes first before adding more. Let's be optimistic. So now I'm using my powder that is left on this foundation brush to blend out that highlighter. Come on, come on. Look at that, take a look. Now for my setting spray. Spray it's like 2 inches. Some people say 6 inches, I feel like that's a bit far. You see how it is, eh? Don't touch it. Because if you try and start blending it, you will create splotches on your face. So find it. Then when it has dried, you can now use your powder brush to correct whatever you think is correcting. I really have to go now, guys. It's 10:50, so I will check in when I'm all dressed. But this is what the makeup is looking like. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Debbie, this one was for you. Bye. I forgot to do a video indoors, so this is what the makeup looks like. Bye.
8 hours later.
Hi, welcome back again to my channel. This is my exhausted face, this is my exhausted voice, and I got home from submerged in his presence maybe 20 minutes ago. It was quite a day. This is what my makeup is looking like. It is currently 6:50 p.m. I finished my makeup at around 10:50 a.m. So I've had this makeup on for 8 hours and this is what it's looking like. I think it held up pretty nicely if I do say so myself. And I was sweating a lot. So I think in retrospect, that sweat block I used too little. I think the first day I did it, I actually did it right because on that day I hadn't done skincare, so my skin was already dry when I used it. But today that I had infused a lot of moisture, I didn't take that into consideration in the amounts that I was applying. Love this makeup so much. Oh, it's so pretty. Let me show you what this would look like if I touch it up. With my trusty powder palette, going into caramel. First place is underneath my eyes. And you can already see the instant difference. So whatever is left, I'm going to take the shine on my forehead out. So again, back into the powder. It's giving London girl makeup. A very interesting day, guys. I don't even have the energy to explain the day that I've had, but in all things give thanks to God. Yeah, remember this eyeshadow I told you guys about earlier this month? High intensity pigments. It's from House of Tara. I'm dabbing it ever so slightly. You see what's on this brush? Just watch. Can you see that? Come on. This blush is fantastic. Tara, take your flowers. I think that's actually too much. Sure. As always, whatever is left, put it on your eyes. My lip gloss, I reapplied it before I came on camera, so it's still good. This beauty blender is dry as well, so I'm going over my whole face and trying to melt everything because I'm not trying to use setting spray. Number one, I have very little left. Number two, I'm not going anywhere, so I don't need it to melt into my skin.